What's up, everybody? If you want to join the greatest online Star Wars community, the Fandom Menace, make sure you hit that subscribe button before today's video starts, so you don't miss out on any updates and you're always the first to know when our newest videos go live.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
Life is full of missed opportunities. The girl who got away. The guy who got away. The puppy who lost his way. No, that doesn't work. There are countless things in life that just don't go our way, and we're left with the question, what could have been? In most cases, it's us wondering how our lives would have been different if one little thing went a different way. The beauty of this is that we don't know how much better or worse our lives could be. We're just left guessing. In the case of Star Wars, we don't have to guess what life would be like with a different and possibly better Episode 9. Last week, a leak came out discussing Colin Trevorrow's script for Episode 9 titled Duel of the Fates. Great title. I guess we're naming Star Wars films after soundtrack titles. Anyone want a Star Wars mouse robot and blasting off movie? How about Star Wars The Magic Tree? Wait a tick. How's this for a conclusion to the Skywalker saga? Star Wars The Finale. Odd name aside, the ideas presented in the leaked scripts were interesting. The Reddit leak is a bit long, but we'll take a quick look at a summary from the AV Club. And by the way, this week we're going to have Robert Meyer Burnett on the High Council, the man referenced in the Reddit leaks. So that's a show you don't want to miss out, and make sure you have your questions ready. Turns out Colin Trevorrow's version of Star Wars Episode 9 was good. Actually. According to the breakdown, which originates on YouTube, Trevorrow's Episode 9 was titled Duel of the Fates. Actually a very good title. And his last draft was written December 2016, about a week before the passing of Carrie Fisher. Though certain plot points could have been changed during the production or through reshoots, Trevorrow and Connolly's story seemed far more compelling than the rise of Skywalker. In their version, Kelly Marie Tran's Rose Tico is given a much larger role and spends a good portion of the film with Finn, C-3PO, and R2-D2 on a mission to light a beacon on Coruscant that will draw allies to assist the Resistance in their final battle against the First Order. Meanwhile, Rey, Poe, and Chewbacca head to a distant planet to find answers that may help Rey figure out what to do about this whole situation. Much of the story is different, with characters like Zori Bliss and adorable internet fave Babu Frick absent. But the most notable absence is Emperor Palpatine. The late Sith Lord does appear in Trevorrow's script, but not as a living, or whatever the hell he was in Rise, entity. As in Abrams' version, Kylo Ren travels to Mustafar, but Trevorrow's script actually follows him there, and shows the audience what he's been up to, while Rey tries to figure out if she's worthy of being a Jedi, or if a Jedi should be a thing anymore. While Kylo searches on Mustafar for a Sith holocron, an artifact that will aid his nefarious plans, he's tormented by the Force ghost of Luke Skywalker, who taunts him with lines like, "This is where the dark path leads, an empty tomb." The holocron opens to reveal a hologram of Palpatine, apparently leaving his last will and testament to Darth Vader. Should Luke kill the wrinkly old space wizard, Palpatine says Vader should take the young Skywalker to see Tor Valum, the Sith master who taught Palpatine everything he knows. Throughout Duel of the Fates, various characters attempt to reach Kylo Ren and bring Ben Solo back into the light. General Leia remains skeptical, but Rey believes that anyone can change. She tells Finn that his actions proved this. Meanwhile, Kylo Ren tracks down Tor Valum, who turns out to be a 7,000-year-old ghoul described as Lovecraftian in appearance. Kylo trains with Tor Valum, confronts Darth Vader's Phantom, loses, and stomps and broods his way over to Rey. There's a cool bit somewhere in there where the holocron wounds Kylo's face, which is repaired and smelted with Mandalorian armor. There are several key points, including Chewbacca flying an X-Wing, the Resistance gang stealing a Star Destroyer, and a droid described as being similar in appearance to Darth Maul. Of course, Trevorrow's movie might have not been good, by whatever metric you use, but there's also some great ideas and concepts here. As of now, the identity of the script leaker remains unknown, but probably wouldn't take a space detective to figure it out. So now that you're all caught up to speed, thanks for watching. And as always, be excellent to each other. If you couldn't wait through the 3 seconds of silence, there's new information backing up this leak, and by new, I mean pictures. Film Goblin just dropped an article with some insight into where the pictures came from, and well, it's just a few sentences, so let's check it out and look at the pictures. Art from Duel of the Fates script reveals shocking imagination. The saying goes, hindsight is 20/20. However, in this case, most of us will agree that Kathleen Kennedy and her coven once again backed the wrong Father Your Beast. Last week, we reported on Colin Trevorrow's unproduced Star Wars Episode 9 script, Duel of Fates, and from hijacked Star Destroyers to Chewie flying an X-Wing, it was filled with fresh ideas. At least fresher than the ideas we've seen in any of the Disney Star Wars films to this point. Today, we're here to demonstrate that the tragedy of director Colin the Fired is even more monumental. A few garbage chute tier websites are reporting that this is concept art from The Rise of Skywalker. Clearly, some of the images are scans from a book that is likely to be the Japanese release of The Art of Skywalker. But we know better, don't we? Just look at the originality here on display and ask yourself if any of this could have possibly come from the mind behind Batman vs. Superman, or the vision that gave us Star Trek into hackness. What's much more likely is that Lucasfilm took the art from both pre-productions and rolled them into the Skywalker book. Still, it is possible that some of the art made it into Abrams' movie. I'd never know because I wouldn't watch the motherfucker. Enjoy. So taking a look at the art, I gotta say this looks pretty cool. It looks different. A lot of people think the Phantom Menace is a toxic brood that hates new ideas being introduced into Star Wars. That's not true. New is good. It keeps Star Wars alive and fresh. But new is not good when A, it sucks, and B, it's at the expense of the original trilogy. The Last Jedi was new and different, but it A, sucked, and B, ruined Luke Skywalker. Rose Tico was new, she sucked, but no original trilogy character suffered at her expense. Only the audience. From an artistic standpoint, I like a lot of this. It's weird, otherworldly, and a smidge spooky. Scary is never a bad direction to take a sci-fi or fantasy film. It helps balance out the bright optimism and makes our characters more complex. The original trilogy had some scary moments, nothing to this level, but they still left you on the edge of your seat. Forbes had an interesting take on the horror element of the script. I'd like to share an excerpt. A touch of cosmic horror may have been what the Star Wars franchises needed all along. Tor Valum sounds like one of the biggest wasted opportunities in the entire history of the Star Wars brand. As soon as I saw the word Lovecraftian and glimpsed the unnerving concept art drawn up for the monstrous-looking character, I immediately knew that a note of HP-inspired cosmicism would have been one of the coolest and most creative ways to close out the 42-year-old saga. Just think about it for a second. The galaxy within this iconic cinematic universe is so vast and sweeping that not even the most well-traveled individuals have plumbed all of its secrets. We saw that firsthand in Attack of the Clones when Obi-Wan traveled to the missing Camino system and discovered the clone army for the very first time. The Rise of Skywalker took that even further with Exegol, the Sith homeworld in which the zombified Emperor Palpatine was dabbling in some pretty dark stuff, including the creation of Supreme Leader Snoke. The fact that there's been an eldritch, old one of pure evil hiding out in the furthest reaches of the galaxy and observing these ever-shifting events with an uncaring and malevolent eye adds a truly chilling dynamic to the science fiction mythos. Tor Valum's appearance would have shrunk the technologically advanced and biologically diverse world down to size and played into the original script's conceit that quaint terms like Jedi and Sith are pretty insignificant in the grand scheme of things. What does this being of near infinite might care for such categorizations when, to quote Lord Voldemort, there is only power and those too weak to seek it? Moreover, Palpatine's infamous quote about the dark side of the Force being a pathway to many abilities considered to be unnatural would also have taken on a new meaning, insinuating that the Sith's incredibly destructive powers are the result of forbidden knowledge derived from a source just beyond the veil of normal comprehension. The article would go on to say, perhaps Tor, like many of Lovecraft's inexplicable deities, drove Sheev to madness during the training process. I actually hate this. I like the idea that it was unlimited power that drove Palpatine, I hate the name Sheev, to the dark side of the Force. Outside of that, though, this could have been cool. Could have been. For as much as I enjoy the imagery and parts of the script from Colin Trevorrow, I don't believe this would have saved Disney Star Wars. We have to look at this trilogy as a whole. When you do, ask yourself, do these films tell one cohesive story? Was there a clear through line? Was the story laid out at the beginning? Obviously the answer to all this is no, so no matter how awesome this sounds, the end result wouldn't have been this. Movies vastly differ from their scripts all the time. Did you know that Con Air was originally crafted as a drama thriller instead of the over-the-top Nicolas Cage joint that we got instead? I, for one, am aware of how silly Con Air is, and I love it for that. The same goes for Commando. Instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger being a one-man army, we would have had an Israeli soldier who turned his back on violence. That sounds awesome, right?
Wrong.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. For as dark and exciting as this film, Episode 9, The Duel of the Fates, sounds, you have to remember that Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger would have toned it down to sell more toys. Funnily enough, pandering to the female demographic scared off more toy buyers than any monster on screen could have. Perhaps the greatest evil Star Wars ever faced was the Kennedy-Iger connection, and not the fans, Washington Post. Don't worry, I'll get to you this week. I am all for a better Star Wars Episode 9. The one we got wasn't good, and the media isn't making excuses for it anymore. They're calling it a failure, they're calling it bad, they're calling it like it was all along. That's a topic for next time, so don't miss out. But it feels like there's no money in shilling for Star Wars anymore. For as stunning and brave as The Last Jedi was, The Rise of Skywalker is as basic as they come. If The Rise of Skywalker was a person, they'd wear Ugg boots, drink pumpkin spice lattes, and enjoy reruns of Friends. The art book in question also shares with us another dark secret about Disney Star Wars. It's lazy. The sequel films were a mishmash of other, better ideas and rehashes from previous films. Disney killed off the expanded universe only to borrow from it, but do it poorly. The only place they didn't steal ideas from was George Lucas himself. You have to ask yourself, how would that have gone? The legacy of The Rise of Skywalker is ever evolving, but it's not being remembered as anything but what it was. Dumb. Disney Star Wars really needs a long break. Back in the 80s, George Lucas knew that Star Wars ended, and it was time to move on to other things. But when the time was right and fan demand was organic, Star Wars was relaunched and took the franchise to a whole new level. Since the relaunch, Star Wars has always been a part of the pop culture landscape. It never went away, and up until recently, it never needed to. It was always there when you needed it the most, and most importantly, it was good. These days, Star Wars is just like everything else. The story isn't memorable, the characters aren't memorable, the effects, creature designs, and world building isn't memorable either. There's nothing that captures the imagination anymore. That's Marvel's job, and they're doing that well. Luckily, for Disney anyway, they own both franchises. So while one's a massive $20 billion success, the other is a $6 billion wash. They win, and that is why we all lose. So folks, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I'm a little under the weather, so if I sound a little less than my usual self, that's because I'm sick. But this story was too big not to cover, and we got a whole lot of stuff to cover this week. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, make sure you have your bell notifications turned on to all, and be on the lookout for more world-class bullshitters. The January 21st episode of The High Council, aka tomorrow at the time of this recording, will have Robert Meyer Burnett, and Midnight's Edge will be present, and we're gonna have an awesome time talking about the leaks, the script breakdown, all of this stuff. So make sure that you guys, and ladies, do not miss out on that because it's gonna be a lot of fun. So if you're a fan of this channel and you like what you hear, obviously become subscribed, but if you want more, well, check us out over on Patreon, patreon.com/worldclassbs. Over there we have commentaries, movie commentaries, videos, watch-alongs, extra podcasts, all kinds of stuff. There's thousands of hours of bonus content over there, and you can even get on the show. So the higher you go, the more you get. If that sounds awesome to you, well then check it out. If you like community, check out our Facebook page. We have a lot of great people. We have a lot of fun over there. It's a great way to get in contact with us as well. So folks, like I said, I'm feeling a little under the weather, so I'm gonna make this outro short. You know what to do though. Go out into the world and be excellent to each other.